Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Geeking Out podcast. I am the Athletic Geek, and well, we're gonna go probably to the last trip to the well for all in as far as creating content for this channel, and we're
Let's
gonna
get it.
have it. We're gonna have an all in watch along. This whole podcast was built off of our friend Ann and Charloco, who's joining me this week.
Hey, y'all.
Reliving our experience at All In, and now is Charloco and I are prepared to reunite for All Out at the time of this recording, and so much has changed since that fateful night in Chicago. But we're going to take a look at pretty much what started it all, what started this tradition, and once again, go back to All In to create content for this channel. That's the most important part. But we are watching
It's
this
3 years since the original event, and like a year since the time we actually covered our experience.
pretty much, yes. So, if you would like to watch along with us, this will be split up into multiple parts, but you have to purchase this on the Fight TV app. Go purchase this. Go fast forward to the 3 minute timestamp. We are staring at the white, black, and red all in logo 3 minutes in. And hopefully you're all set up. And press play now. So, first thing I want to point out is I just remember like seeing this, like kind of just the spots and like kind of like just you forget from being part of going to those independent shows that they because they don't really like throw to the announcers so much. It's just kind of there and they edit all in post. You're wondering what's the
Yeah,
holdup, and obviously it's they're using the going to the announcers, and there is the 6 man tag main event. Which is it wrong of me to say I was not very excited about that match? Unlike this one, Kenny versus Penta.
like as in going in.
The 6 man tag match, I just really wasn't as pumped up about as some other folks were. Like, I guess I just wasn't, just didn't really, other than just kind of being like, wow, this would be a cool match, I wasn't so pumped up about that match compared to a lot of the other things that were advertised for this card.
I get that, but I think when they announced that as the main event, I felt like, yeah, there's a reason that they felt like it'd be safe to put that on last, and that reason is exactly what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. Going through the
Like
rundown.
imagine if it was Cody and all this, and they're like, okay, you guys have 6 minutes now.
Yeah, exactly. But now we have, they've thrown to what's going to be the opening contest, and that is MJF versus Matt Cross. And uh, MJF was one of the few that kept his theme music since this this event all on into AEW. Um,
Oh,
I
you're
got
right.
I gotta ask you, was this your first time seeing MJF on this evening?
In a match, yes. Like I'd only known him prior to the moments in BT.
Um, the first time I became familiar with MJF was they were doing like the lead up to All In, and they were kind of like explaining who he was and kind of how Cody found him and him getting on the card. But like other than that, like I didn't really. I wasn't familiar with his CZW or his MLW work. To me, he was just like a guy. He's a guy that Cody found during his big like independent world
Yeah.
tour, and we when we did the live stream um, on the way home from Chicago, Nick and I kind of like very very off base, uh, just kind of thought MJF was just like this local wrestler, and we're like, and this is he represents just your local wrestler anywhere, and like that's how we perceived him, not knowing that he was kind of like in that maybe fair to say that best kept secret in wrestling kind of role at that time.
I can say that.
And speaking of best kept secret, but here's the one, I guess to make a parallel. Speaking of best kept secrets in wrestling, here is Matt Cross, who was the best kept secret in wrestling for many, many years, and some would argue still is the best kept secret in wrestling.
Isn't he in MLW now? I have no idea at this point.
Yeah, I know he did some Lucha Underground work. I know he was tried out for Tough Enough and got eliminated early for not showing off quite as much, but um, yeah,
Had to make room for, what was it, Silent Rage or whatever the Tough Enough winner. No, no, that was the Yeti. That was the name.
the Yeti. Yeah, other
Yeah,
than
then you got, yeah.
other than Maven, Nydia, and Morrison are the only like successful Tough Enough people. It seems.
I'll put the Miz in there. Like, I feel like we
Winner.
forget that he was on that.
I said winner. Yeah, winner. But yeah, you're right. Well, Miz is most successful out of all of them because but he wasn't. He never won. Ironically, the most successful Tough Enough story is a runner-up. But all right, so Matt Cross, really, very underrated wrestler, and it's a shame he never really truly got his due. I was happy to see him on this card. Story about Matt Cross and this weekend, and just Matt Cross in general. I actually met Matt Cross at Starcast the day before. I might have told this story on the original 4 episodes we did. I bought a hat from Matt Cross that says "Wrestling is Forever," and I wore it to All In. I wore it to All Out, and I've worn it to the Dynamite in Champaign, Illinois that I went to, and I plan on wearing it again to All Out. So that's like my goal, is to wear that Matt Cross hat to every AEW type event that I attend. But something else was, when I met Matt Cross, I mentioned meeting him at an independent show that was held locally. He was brought in as a complete surprise, and I said, "You probably don't remember this show." And he went, "Well, actually, I do, because Pac and El Generico and Colt Cabana were on that show, and they tried to get me on, but the promoters are like, we're run pretty tight on money. I don't think we can afford you." And the 3 of them all took less money, so that way Cross could get on the show. And he said,
awesome.
so essentially the 3 of them paid him for that show, but they liked him enough they brought him back to the promotion later on that summer. And I have a computer printout picture of me and Matt Cross signed by Matt Cross, because I didn't have like a good means of printing out that picture for when he came back in the summer, but I just had a printer at the local library that just probably ran out of ink printing that picture out so I could get it autographed by Matt Cross.
Literally, I've seen this guy. Can't remember his name, but I guess if you look, just Google, you can find it. But there's this guy whose gimmick is, like, he goes to meet and greets and gets selfies with the wrestlers using like a Game Boy camera from like 2000.
Huh.
You remember? Yeah, you remember those? Where like you take the photo with the Game Boy camera, and then it prints out the little stamp thing in black and white.
Yes.
Yeah, someone's been going around doing those for photo ops.
That's awesome, but like I've never seen those yet. Yeah, like that's a great idea, but no, I'm just not familiar with this person. That's a cool idea. I mean, have you seen any of the pictures yet, or?
Yeah, I saw. I guess he just recently shared one with. Well, it was on Reddit. Shared it with Rikishi. Apparently, has a whole has a whole collection of them. My lazy ass didn't look it up for this because I just didn't even think I'd be talking about it. But I guess I just look up like Game Boy camera wrestling photo op on Reddit. Yeah, you'll get there. So this is my first time actually going back and watching the event and seeing their live.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I've went back and rewatched a few matches. I've rewatched Cody and Aldis like at least
Okay, yeah, I think I
10,
watched that like that week, but like as
10
the full
times.
show. Yeah,
Well, I remember for the longest time it was on New Japan World. And I remember like just anytime I wanted to go back, I could rewatch on New Japan World, and everything was
yeah, it
hunky
just seemed
dory.
to be there, but then like I think they took it off by the end of that year.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like, well, I have $40 in some account, on a
Yeah,
I have $40 in PayPal, or I have $40 in the bank, or bust out the credit card. Um, um,
apparently the head of Fight in an interview, like the CEO of Fight, actually said that like this show still does numbers for them. Like it's usually often in their like top 10 of most watched shows. Like just because people still keep ordering it because like this is the only way you can find it.
they, yeah, it's a shame like how they were never able to really get a good commercial DVD release out of this because of just Ring of Honor and production and just political bullshit. But I mean,
Yeah,
if you listen to somebody who's still on the Ring of Honor train, you hear them say like, "Well, Ring of Honor is well within their legal right. They use their production and then quit the company and fuck them." But I don't know. I think,
I mean, hell,
uh,
at this point, even if there's no connection, Ring of Honor might as well just release it on the DVD, just because I mean, people will buy it.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
And they do best ofs of like all their past alumni before, so like, I don't think it's too out of line if they just like released it here, or like just released it, no involvement with like AEW.
right. Yeah, I don't think that'd be. There may be some royalties to pay, but that'd be about it.
Maybe like yeah, I can see them maybe cutting some of like the New Japan themes or anything like that.
And cutting the New Japan themes, probably cutting. You have to have the entrances. The only time, like, well, I don't know. You really need the entrance for Cody Aldis, but
Yeah.
the one thing I want to mention rewatching this match is, I mean, like, I shouldn't mention. I just asked when you saw MJF on this night and saw how he was playing to the crowd and really just getting into it. Did you ever have it in your head that MJF was going to be
Oh,
essentially the guy? You just see the double stomp onto the arm?
yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any idea that,
And
like, we didn't know AEW wasn't a blip in our radar, but do we think like, okay, like he's gonna be the top heel in Ring of Honor or something, or he's gonna
at
be
this
the top
point,
heel in something?
I don't even think BET has started like the Salt of the Earth gimmick, like where he was going behind Cody's back. Like I think
No.
that was post this show.
Yeah, that was like after AEW like got announced.
Oh yeah, you're right, exactly. So yeah, there was like yeah, I can say I had no idea that he would be where he is now.
But the only thing that I remember, other than the few things about MJF, was just hearing him be like an asshole to the podcasters on Podcast Route Starcast, and then I remember some lady that was working at that hotel, who didn't watch wrestling, went like, "So is that guy like one of the top guys or something?" And we're like, he's actually one of the newer guys. Why? He's a jerk. So apparently he lives the gimmick. At least according to that lady, he if there's any chance that someone's gonna see him, he's on.
With his like $1,000 photo ops.
I think that was before the photo ops. I know it was at
Yeah.
WrestleCon where it was $10,000 cash only.
Or well, I think it was the first Jericho cruise. Like he asked who was like the highest who was the highest priced photo op, and then they told him Sting. So then MJF priced his $1 more than Sting.
And people pay for it. I mean, people pay for it because I guess they just want the experience of MJF roasting them. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm afraid of MJF, but I'm also not that much of a glutton for punishment when it comes to
Yeah.
my money. So, um, it's funny, you know, co-host on the stream, EZ, he always brings up that whenever I brings up that he's sure MJF's a good person and a nice guy and everything, and I'm sure he actually is. But he's like one of the few people in wrestling where it's like I don't want to think that he's a nice guy. I want to think he's a piece of
Yeah.
shit. Like, I don't want to go pay for a meet and greet with him because I don't want to like him and I don't want to go, there's my happy memory attached to MJF. Like, I enjoy this image of MJF that exists and I don't want anything to tread on this image. So, if he is a nice guy to be around outside of the ring, and if he really is, if he's privately donating money to, save puppies and kitties and, to make a wish or anything like that, like, I don't want to see it. I want to see that he's,
Yeah.
making fun of people and, euthanizing the animals. That's what I want to see, you know?
No, if it does come out that he is awful, it's like, oh, we already knew that, and no one to blame but ourselves.
Yeah. You know, just gonna point this out, like I am I'm surprised that Matt Cross won this match. I mean, I guess they wanted to kind of give him his due, and again, like who are we to know at this time that MJF would essentially be, other than Kenny Omega, the top heel in the number 2 wrestling promotion in the United States? But it is just kind of one of those. I mean,
True, I guess it's more just you don't really need to get heat on a show, on a one-off show at the time.
right? I get it. And it is cool for Matt Cross. And then kind of going off of that, it's like, are you surprised that Matt Cross hasn't been signed by AEW, like to at least just be like a good veteran? Okay, I marked out for seeing Sean Mooney. I'm not gonna lie.
I did too.
Like, it really, like, with all the different sorts. The one thing I really want to point out about this show, and what really, to me, brought the kind of the whole all-star feeling of it, was they had just so many different people from so many areas from all over wrestling, not just like in with the wrestlers, but like, I mean, you had Excalibur, who you at the time, you associate with PWG. You had Ian Riccoboni, who you associate with Ring of Honor. Don Callis, ECW, and at the time, New Japan. Then, like, as far as interviews, you're going old school, and you got Sean Mooney. It's like, okay, so, the ring announcers, you got Bobby Cruz from ROH, you got Justin Roberts, you've got Earl Hebner as a referee, you've got Paul Turner, you've got Jerry Lynn, as a special referee, but like, you got like all these different referees that are like a big, like from all over. Bryce Remsburg, the independent referee for so many years. So like that's something that I think is really, really that I really enjoyed about this show was just, not only with the talent and the titles being defended and the champions that were just at least on the show, but you also saw like down to the referees, them picking from all these different parts of the wrestling world to kind of create this.
Yeah, it just kind of adds to the whole like this is a one-time only thing.
Right. And we're about to go into the as good as Bad Bunny did this year at WrestleMania, I'm still going to go with it. The greatest celebrity wrestling match ever. Stephen Amell and Christopher Daniels. And Jerry Lynn. Of course, Jerry Lynn's going to have like a dad joke for his name as a referee. New reffin' show.
Yes. I gotta say, this being my first time watching it, I feel like unless there's some stuff that happened on the pre-show, I feel like production-wise, uh, like they're not really catching just the scope of the crowd. You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying.
And I feel like that's just a problem with Ring of Honor, like camera crew in general, because like I feel
Right.
like you're getting maybe just because they're used to smaller sized arenas, but I feel like you're really getting like just kind of a fraction of what they are of just how big that crowd was. So I don't know if they have like maybe
The
some far away shots later on in the night. Like it was especially bad at the Madison Square Garden show where it looked on TV nowhere near
was many
like as
yeah.
packed.
Just very interesting point, but I believe Stephen Amell is the only person at this show to actually use the Bullet Club theme.
No, you're right. Yeah, I
Um,
remember at the end of the show or at the end of the night after the big Elite Bullet Club promo with everybody sticking together, they're playing the Bullet Club music, and just like so long the lyrics start, and like lyrics are just listing like
the old
AJ Styles and
yeah.
every like and I think Prince Devitt and every like member that's not there
Well,
anymore.
the Devin wasn't there, but like AJ and Doc Gallows, the Machine Gun
Yeah,
Kelly
exactly.
Anderson.
Yeah,
It's like um, this is right as SCU were becoming like so cool you couldn't boo him anymore.
yeah,
Because I remember a friend of the show who's also been on the podcast, Edmund Livewire McGuire. You know, he's not really in the independent wrestler in the Southern Illinois, Southeast Missouri, St. Louis, Kentucky area for years. Uh, you know, loves his wrestling, but he just kind of nowadays he just kind of catches what he can. Doesn't really wrestle as much anymore. Um, and in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which is kind of around where he lives, they have a promotion called Cape Championship Wrestling, and I don't know if it was in 2018 or 2019. I think it was 2019. Oh, there's John Mayer. Hi.
oh wait, what? Forgot
Um,
about that.
um, I'll not finish my story because I'll get off on a tangent with a bunch of John Mayer jokes I used to make with friends in high school. But anyway, but like he just texted me out of the blue one day, like, "Can you explain SCU to me?" I'm like, "Well, it's like," and he watched a lot of PWG. He watched TNA, ROH. It's like he knew like the talent. Like he was a big Christopher Daniels fan. He was a Kazarian fan. He was a big Scorpio Sky fan from PWG. Like he knew the talent. But he's like, what is their like deal? I'm like, well, like what do you mean? There's a little production issue right there.
Yeah,
And I'm like what's the whole like this is the worst town and this that and the other, like why do people cheer that, like I don't get it. And then like I had to explain the whole like story of what they were doing and like where that came about, them on BTE going to all these like cool sites and on the travels, and then them still declaring this was the worst town they'd ever been in, but it like
yeah,
got so cool that they had to like it became like I said it became like saying you suck to Kurt Angle. It's a term of endearment.
yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, okay."
But yeah, but it's interesting because like I think the SCU got so hot at this period that like by the time AEW started, it felt like they'd already peaked. Because, or at least in the sense of just like they can't really do the act anymore because like they're baby faces.
Right.
So then they're just kind of at least I'd say on TV if you've never seen them before, just a generic tag team.
Yeah. You could maybe say, and I want to say this before I make the statement. I was a huge SCU fan. I love all three men involved, and they paid money to meet them and get autographs and all that good stuff. So like, I'm not bashing SCU, but it's like maybe a tag team that didn't really have as much shelf life as we thought they did. Is that a fair thing to
You
say?
can say that, but I think that mainly just came down just I'd say to I don't say the age, but just like the point of some of their careers, if that makes
Right.
sense.
Well, it's like you could get it's maybe one of them like you get a year, maybe two out of that act being really, really hot, but it's also kind of one of those like maybe it kind of has only the shelf life in the BTE bubble, so to speak.
I don't say that, but I think it's just more between Daniels taking a step back and then them clearly having like kind of a vision for Scorpio
Right.
that it just felt like getting to have them do a bunch of like BTE skits on like TV just wasn't in the cards.
Right. I'm
'Cause
gonna
even at this point, I feel
no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish your point.
I don't know, just to say because even at this point of SCU, like during the pre-show here and other shows they were doing, it felt like they kind of had to like promo-wise kind of move some things around to like to get their shit in. Where like they'd be on the mic and be like, normally I'll say, this is the worst town I've ever been in, but I wouldn't here because you know what I mean. Like they still got to find a way to say all their things, but like be baby faces.
Right. Yeah. It's just. I mean, you were right about CD kind of taking the step back when AEW finally formed, and then you know.
It seems self-involuntary. It seems self-voluntary, so I don't think like it's any slight
Right.
against
Yeah.
him. I
Well, I
think,
mean, like
yeah,
he's 50. And
yeah,
like not everybody's going to be Jericho or Dustin, and I'm not knocking Christopher down. I think he's every bit as good as Dustin and Jericho, being in his 50s in
yeah,
AEW currently. But it's also kind of the thing. It's well, and I don't mean any disrespect to Daniels, but in the AEW world, to like the more casual fan that will watch AEW over, say, a Ring of Honor, what means more, beating Chris Jericho or Dustin
yeah,
Rhodes or beating Christopher Daniels? Daniels can come in and do a few cool angles and maybe do a few matches, and especially with Rampage coming, he might be kind of in what I like to call
yeah,
like the Jim Duggan role. Still does that.
yeah.
The Arabian was great just there. Unfortunately, I was in
Oh
Champagne
yeah,
for that botched Arabian that was like, oh dear. Um. Uh. But like I always compare like they had Jim Duggan in WWE for years just to like wrestle on Heat, and you'd beat Jim Duggan on Raw if you were trying to do something with you, or if you were kind of a jobber on Heat, or a newer guy, a local guy, they'd put you on Heat and you'd wrestle Jim Duggan, and that's
yeah.
it. That's kind of maybe where I could see them going with Daniels. You put him on
I can buy
Rampage, put
that.
him on uh, Dark, but
Actually, would
we
you
will
say this is
see.
the biggest singles match of Daniel's career?
I think he did, and that is just no, like like
Like,
like 1,000 times no.
you don't think so? Like, I'm talking singles, not like because
Um,
I mean I'd say there's like Unbreakable Triple Threat. So I'm just trying to think of like
I mean, like maybe in terms of like the crowd, yes, and like the buzz, yes, but I mean, I'm gonna find myself becoming Eric Bischoff. I thought you said Ian Riccoboni said this,
no,
which
no, sorry, this was me. Like this was just more
oh
like
well, sorry if
in
I was
terms of like a
okay. So I wasn't trying to be a dick to you with that reaction, but no, I
no,
thought
you're good.
um
I was just like as a singles act, I feel like he never got that opportunity
I mean
opportunity
like
elsewhere.
if you kind of I'm gonna take I'm gonna be Eric Bischoff here, but I'm gonna take like that was a cool coast to coast with
Oh yeah,
from Amel there. I'm
yeah,
gonna take two different sides of being Eric Bischoff here. That's a spot. That is a Spider-Man inspired knee pad there on Christopher Daniels. I just want to point that out. Um, but on one hand, you know, Eric Bischoff, being a former promoter, um, oh, not quite there, but
yeah,
um, uh, he always points to like, well, what match did you have that drew the most people? Yes, your match with AJ Styles or your match with Adam Cole or your match with whoever may have, been big and may have been what would be considered a better match, but who saw it, what promotion was it in? So from that perspective, I'll be that sort of Eric Bischoff and go, yeah, maybe it is because 10,000 people, uh, a big TV star at the time, that had at the time a hit TV show with somewhat of a following. I'm not going to say it was on no Game of Thrones or Breaking
yeah.
Bad or Walking Dead level, but I mean it had its it had its share of fans, but also kind of taking another portion of Bischoff's philosophies that he has. What were the stakes of the match? Like, what was on the line here compared to other matches in Christopher Daniels' career? The only thing on the line here was the fact that uh, Daniels didn't like Green Arrow and didn't like Stephen Amell coming into his profession. So it's
I guess.
like,
But hey, he did cut that like damn good promo on like BTE, the one with Daniels like at the back of the bus.
yes, I thought that was great.
Yes.
Um,
Well, honestly, I don't like. If I didn't mean like this also as an insult to Daniels, like
no, I knew you didn't
uh,
mean that much. I just
yeah,
kind of,
or the idea that this is like or this being his biggest match would be a bad thing. I was just trying to think in terms of like big singles matches. He normally didn't get that position. The closest I could think of is like he got to wrestle Sting on a pay per view once, and like that whole angle in time was like cut. So like I was just kind of thinking,
yeah.
like
Uh,
outside maybe some of those triple threats and Ultimate X's, I feel like it may be this.
Maybe Adam Cole from 2017 for the ROH title. I do want to point out, and this is something very interesting.
Oh, that is true. That is true. That was a good match. Yeah.
I do want to point out that I did see Jerry Lynn and Christopher Daniels in a cage match at Lockdown 07. That goes under the
Nice.
radar of being able to see that match because I saw a blindfold cage match and an electrified cage match on the same card. So I might forget seeing, sometimes I forget how good that show was. Like, oh hey, Christopher Daniels and Jerry Lynn had a great match. Oh, Gail Kim and Jacqueline, they had a great match. Oh, Lethal Lockdown was pretty damn good. But instead I just remember um, chanting boring at two at the time great workers in blindfolds and an electrified cage match that started a Fire Russo chant.
Oh, if it makes you feel any better, I was at the show where, what show am I looking at? Yeah, I was at the Raw where it had like the Lawler Warrior segment where the Ultimate Warrior is just like wearing a hat the whole time, like for no
Really?
reason, like just to do the glass shattering that he doesn't even take. I feel like that could be a good like this could be a good episode. Just all of us just sharing like all the bollocks that we've seen live in person.
Yeah, I got to get friend JC on here because he was. I think he's got us all beat. He was here we go, best moonsault ever. Always wanted to do that chant. Finally got to do it. No one did it with me. It made me sad.
No.
Um, just like at the garden when I tried to do Kazanina Ray in my area and everybody just looked at me like I had two heads. Yeah, that's another. But a friend of the channel, JC, who's been involved in some content on here. He was in at Raw in St. Louis for Donald Trump versus Rosie O'Donnell.
Oh,
So I think he's beat us as far as all the bollocks we've seen because he was there for that.
I feel like I have to think this through, but that involves like digging in my mind for like some of the worst memories. And like I don't have the capacity for that right now.
Yeah, no. Poor Ace Steel. That's all I'm gonna say about it. You want
Yeah,
you
yeah,
want you want to know the thing that I liked the most about this match, though. I mean, like it was not a 5-star match. There were some botches, but it wasn't a bad match as far as the pacing and as I said when we first did this, when I met Dave Meltzer for the first time, then the day after this show, and everybody's wanted to ask him about, oh, what do you think about Kenny Omega? What do you think about uh, some guys in Umbrella? Oh, what do you think about this, that, and the other? And I want to go, what do you think about Stephen Amell? Like, I really wanted to hear Dave's take on Stephen Amell, and
yeah.
you know, while I do kind of criticized people who use Dave's opinion as prophecy. Ironically, I talk about prophecy with Christopher Daniels in there, but that's besides the
Yeah.
point. Um, I like hearing what Dave at least has to like his. I like hearing what he has to say more than his star rating, and I wanted to hear what he had to say about Stephen Amell.
Yeah. Maybe it's my ADHD or something, but the graphics here, it really like for some reason it bothers me. Like if you notice, it's always centered to the left.
Yeah,
Like you feel like it should be like in the middle, like but no,
yeah.
it's like right next to the all in. It's like change it to center font, damn it.
Like you can really tell, like, well, as great as All In was, and as special and as awesome as that night was, once they became AEW, that's when like you knew like the production value skyrocketed
Yeah, so it's
from
so weird,
here.
like watching like current AEW, then going to this and being like something that looks like AEW, but but a lot less quality production wise. And this is a weird thing to look at now.
Oh yeah. Well, the one thing that I remember, she came out to Adam Cole's theme in Ring of
Adam
Honor,
Cole's, yeah.
and I remember just kind of thinking, Adam Cole? But that is, I mean, I'm dating this podcast a little bit, but we're recording this in July of 2021, and I do my year end awards at the end of every year, and she's on my short list for Wrestler of the Year right now. Like,
That's fair. I can't really argue with that.
yeah, I'd say at this point it's her, Roman, or Shingo.
Hmm.
Now, lots of things can change in the next few months. Hangman's also up there, but like I think it's either gonna
Yeah.
be her, Roman, or Shingo. I do remember, and I kick myself for this now. I'm ashamed to say. This was the beginning of my. There were several moments during this show where it's like, I gotta go, I have to pee. And I didn't want to miss the match, but like, luckily where I was sitting, and you can kind of on the cover photo of this for this video on YouTube, you get kind of the perspective of where I was in the crowd. But I was kind of just like a short hop up the stairs and then run across the corridor, and I was in the bathroom. So like, I wasn't too terribly far. And this was kind of one of them, like, while the entrances were going on, I'm like, okay, if I need to go to the bathroom, maybe I can get done now, and then before the match gets underway, I'll be good. And I maybe miss maybe the first 2 minutes of this match. And that's not. And I hate missing any of the match because,
Yeah.
um, I mean, I was aware. I'd seen a little bit of Tess at the time, but Madison Rain I knew from Impact. Never seen Britt, and I'd only become familiar with Chelsea Green through similar to MJF, like the build up, but well, the Road to All In stuff. But this was Chelsea Green was who I ended up like becoming a big fan of at the end of this. Like
Okay.
this was like I have a pink Chelsea Green shirt, and I am I will wear that any day. So no shame there. uh, but like I felt like kind of like her build up, and then just like actually kind of seeing her character. Like I thought it was like I liked her character, and then find like the backstory of her like being left at the altar and what that's why she's so crazy like this. Like that was cool. I regret missing the bouquet throw, and then I regret even further in the next entrance missing what we're about to see. But especially having not seen a whole hell of a lot of Chelsea Green throughout the course of this match, when I got done, I'm like, wow, Chelsea Green, she's fucking great. Like the next day at Star Chelsea
Agree.
Green, the the next day at Starcast, she's like the one person like I sought out, like other than the paid meet and greet that I had with Cody and Brandy, like that was the one person like, oh, I wonder if I could go meet Chelsea Green. But I missed this part, which was something I would have really marked out for because I got to eat dinner with one of these people the night before, and I met the other one. I met both of these people the day before with AC Tully and Magnum, and I'm guessing that's her stepbrother. That
Yeah, I think so.
um and gonna be a little awkward to talk about this now, unfortunately, because and you could argue that Tessa was maybe the best women's wrestler in the world quite some time ago, and then you kind of find out that supposedly, allegedly, she's a terrible person.
Yeah. No, I think Tessa was the first person announced for this show. Like, unless there were some of the like Bullet Club guys already. I remember the first like
Right.
graphic they had for like people were like, I think it was Tessa Blanchard.
Other than maybe Deanna Parazzo, but that's the only other person I can. No, I think you're right. It was Tessa. Oh, I just saw a Coors Light sign, and I drank too many of those that night. I drank um I drank water, Coors Light, and ate pretzels this whole show because the pretzels were $3 and they were damn good.
Hmm.
So I didn't want to spend $6 on a hot dog or
Yeah.
so I'm just like $3 pretzels. Hell yeah. The only problem was like I ate like no protein that whole day. So
Oof.
I needed like I was living off of bagels, and I think earlier in the day because I remember talking about this on the last one because that was when the meet and greet for the Golden Lovers got switched. So like I was out partying with everybody on the patio of our hotel, and then I'm drunk, and I'm like, oh, I got this, I gotta go to bed now because I got like everything to do now. Like the most important thing is now tomorrow early in the morning. So you know, Nick, who went with me or met me up there, and we went rooming together and what have you. He didn't really have anything going on, so he's like, okay, you get in your line. I'm gonna go get something to eat. And I'm like, hey, can you bring me back just something, anything from wherever you go find breakfast from? And I think he gave it to me when I was in line with you, and I ate like this chicken biscuit, and that piece of chicken on that chicken biscuit was the only protein I'd had all day. I had like
Oof.
bagels and like fruit from that little deli stand, and kept eating the pretzels here. And I remember the guys we met up there, like, hey, if you want something to eat, we're ordering pizza. You want to come in on with this? I'm like, no, I need meat of some kind. Meat man.
let's see. Since we already dated ourselves, I could share. So I was at Jacksonville for Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
For Yeah, and yeah, my diet the day of the show was pretty similar since I was kind of going on this show on a budget. So at that point, I was just eating like like hotel muffins I got from like the breakfast bar.
I don't want to sound chauvinistic at all, but I really like the walking on the rope with Chelsea just there. I'm just saying. Like
Oh yeah.
that was nice. Like I mean that in respect that she is a beautiful woman.
Oh, agreed, agreed. But yeah, by the time I got to the show, I had brought I kind of snuck a couple of like fireballs in my like with me. I kind of snuck into the building because I wasn't gonna play like I was gonna pay like $12 for a beer.
Right.
Yeah, and for the night, well, I did the Friday Dynamite before, and like the crowd was small enough I could still like get a soda in time for a mixer. Uh, for Double or Nothing, the crowd like the line was so big, like all night for food and merch, that I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be downing. I'm just gonna be downing these bottles of Fireball. So by the end of the night, just imagine the combination of like nothing but muffins and just and just shots of Fireball out in the hot Florida summer sun.
Ooh. You're kind of having a very similar experience to what I did
Yeah,
with y'all on Mania weekend, where it's like living off of beer and donuts and bagels, like and pizza. Like that was all I ate, and then like and sleeping 2 3 hours a night. Um, we just like when we got home from the garden, it was just like all that caught up with me, and I'm like, oh, I think my body is like rejecting all of this. You
yeah,
know, I think my body's had
yeah.
enough.
Because I had some friends of mine who had also gone that weekend, and for them, that a lot of it was kind of like checking out like the Jacksonville nightlife, which really there isn't any because it's Jacksonville. But and it's like I feel like I have two different vacation modes. I have like actual vacation mode where you're like, hey, I'm gonna go, to this location for a nice hotel and like eat nice meals in restaurants and sightsee. And then there's con vacation mode where it's like,
Yeah,
all right, all my money is going to this, so I'm eating a duffel bag of pretzels for the weekend, and we'll be very sick by Tuesday, but I'll deal with that later.
right, exactly. Oh, I'm always like I just recently went to the. Oh, that's a great move by Tessa right there. I feel bad.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I want to be a Tessa fan, but it's just like that is one of those. You breaks your heart to find out they're like find out bad stuff about people because I was like hardcore on the Tessa bandwagon. Like I wanted Tessa in AEW. Like I wanted
yeah,
Tessa to be I wanted Tessa Tully Spears and FTR in a stable. I still would not mind Tessa, in the Pinnacle if it wasn't for this, but it's
yeah,
like, oh, like what do you do? Um,
yeah, and I've seen some people like I don't want to say defend her, but did would argue that like right before everything happened, like they'll say like her kind of impact run was kind of like was going to be her redemption run, and that she was kind of trying to fix those problems, which
right.
is fair. But I feel like what hurt her more than that was then like the shit she did was the first second like that she was met with like having to face those consequences. Like she just fucking doubled down like nothing else.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then just like I think that hurt more than anything.
People deserve second chances, but when you like really get too defensive, it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah,
Like I remember and we're getting in some sticky territory here, but I remember like right after the speaking out movement began, like I remember Sonny Kiss just kind of come out and saying, "Hey, like we got to hold everyone accountable, and if that means they lose their jobs, they lose their jobs, but at least give people time to redeem themselves." And I'm about that, but at the same time, like you gotta show a want to change. And Tessa,
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I've, for all intents and purposes, was a fan of Tessa Blanchard. Um, but at least wasn't getting that vibe right away from her. Maybe she is now. I
I don't
know
know, the fact that
I know of people locally that have booked her and from all different walks of life and race and have had nothing but good things about Tessa. So take of that what you will. I'm not saying that's good, bad, or indifferent. I'm just stating fact, saying what I've heard. But who knows? It's really not my call
yeah.
to make this statement on whether or not Tessa's a good person or not, or whether or not Tessa needs to be in AEW or WWE or Ring of Honor or wherever. Um,
I will say it's crazy that like the thing that finally did Tessa in was not wanting to film a promo while in Mexico.
I know, right?
Yeah, like especially for a company that like still sided with her like after all that shit came out. Like that was the line for her.
like, how hard is that? Like, especially for someone like Tessa. It was interesting. The night before doing the dinner with the Horsemen, someone asked Tully, so what advice have you given Tessa about her wrestling career? And he just said, I have not given Tessa any advice because she hasn't asked.
It's very
Yeah, he just said, he said like if Tessa, ooh, damn it, Madison.
yeah.
So like when Tessa asked me, I will be happy to help her, but Tessa's doing just fine on her own, and she hasn't asked me for any help so far. And I thought that was very interesting that
It's
to that point
from
she
what I've
never
heard. Yes, from what I heard, I think they are kind of estranged at this point.
Yeah.
Like they get booked a lot together, but it sounds like almost sort of like Brian Christopher Jerry Lawler thing, where kind of like until like the passing, of course, but it's like where it seemed like their relationship was more professional than family, if that makes sense.
Right. I've heard it's gotten like I've heard it's gotten better, but I've seen like pictures of them like together like on Instagram and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I know they get booked a lot. They've gotten booked a lot at like cons and stuff together, or like situations like this.
Oh,
But
like, these
it
are
seems
these are
like
like
there's
these are like personal pictures. Like they're like it. Like I remember like Tessa
oh,
had a
okay,
picture of them like at like a spa
oh,
together
okay,
or something. So maybe it's getting better. Again, this is I'm not in Tessa or Tully's personal life to make these
yeah,
calls. So this is just pure social media speculation. But yeah, who
yeah.
knows? I know.
Or maybe she's trying to make amends now that her dad has a job in AEW.
Yeah. Or maybe she's pulling a something like someone else that we've seen that we're going to see later on this show. Now that everyone hates her, she's trying to get right with God
Oh
and
God.
and go with her minister father. That's something very interesting. Like now in AEW, it's like Tully's cutting all these old school Tully promos, and other than like maybe not being vulgar, like you would not think this man is a minister.
Exactly. Uh, so not to give too much like information about myself, but as you know, I am like a performer in like the Charlotte area, like a acting performer in the Charlotte area,
Right.
and I was working for like a traveling dinner theater at one point, and we were doing like kind of a road show, so we were driving a few hours away for this booking, and started having conversations with like my two actors who are a little older, like 40, 50s. And it was very interesting because they're both like Charlotte natives, So they were talking about how one of them was like the receptionist or the front of the cashier of the Gold's Gym that like Flair owned here in Charlotte at the time. And then the other one, I guess, was working for Tully Blanchard for a bit in between wrestling and then like his ministry work. So it's like if you talk to Charlotte natives long enough, they almost always have a story about like one horseman, one wrestler in the area. Like I was out drinking one night and just met like I want to say the like grandson, great grandson of like the Crockett family.
Not to cut you off because I want to hear more of this story because this is awesome, but this is like the one thing
Yeah,
that fucked up this match was just kind of that like really bad botched finish where it's like, what? What happened? What
yeah,
happened?
exactly.
But anyway, go on. I want to hear more.
But
I want to hear more about meeting the Crockett's.
but yeah, it's crazy. Just at a bar here in the area, called a bar. He has like it's a bar that also has like all like old school arcade games and pinball machines and stuff like that. But no, I just was making acquaintance with just some people there. Started talking, and then there's just one like pretty much what you think like a scraggly hipster kid looks like.
Right.
And yeah, and then like they're just messing with it, like and they're their friends are just kind of messing with each other. And I guess one of them was like, "Oh, you're gonna do that? What am I gonna tell Mama Crockett?" And then like I was like, "Wait, Crockett?" And then I think just because the guy's used to it, like he immediately was just like, "Yep," and then just kind of like changed the conversation. And I was just like in my head, like, "No, I have so many fucking questions right now."
Um. Yeah, it'd be hard for me not to be that way.
Yeah,
Uh, I mentioned a little earlier. We were talking about being in con vacation mode, and earlier this year we went to Squared Circle Expo, and me and my friend Cassie we went together, and we just were getting on an elevator to just go get like our lanyards and stuff, and just because I don't know when I'm going to be able to tell the story again. We get in there, and then, like, we're just going up to the top floor that was. Okay, sidebar.
Masa.
There's Masa, but remember the Chico? The Chico, the legendary luchador Chico.
Yes.
And I also like how he was introduced as Fat Ass Masa. And also at All Out the next year, I was just walking by and saw Masa and asked to take a picture, and he did. Masa's
Yeah, he's
cool.
so cool. He just does that.
Masa's good people. But like we just get in the elevator, and Sammy Guevara just walks in. Like we just kind of see him, and we nod our head, and we don't bother him. And then he like someone calls him, and he gets on the phone, and he's like talking. And before he gets off at his floor, he just puts his fist out to fist bump us, and then he gets off. It's like he just got knowledge, like thank you for not bombarding me. Good to see you, and have a good day. And we did. And here we go. Here is the non-asterisk match of the night, in my opinion. The one that we can still look back on fondly.
I'd say even without it, it's still match of the night.
I would say so too, but you could have said arguably match of the night. With the other match. Now I think if now I don't think there's any more argument. This is the match that made the night special to me. Like
Yeah.
everything else was just like this is good wrestling. This is like this was like a special match. This was a moment. Again, kind of going back to Eric Bischoff. You want to talk about the stakes. This is actually a match that had stakes, that had some build up, and the one thing I really want to point out, and I think this is very interesting, is in New Japan and on Being the Elite, Cody was heel and a half manipulating the Elite, turning on on Kenny. All that stuff was going on. Then in Ring of Honor and the NWA, Cody was top babyface. Like, that shows how, like, just awesome Cody is, that he was able to just seamlessly transition between the sociopathic psycho heel trying to wrangle control of the Bullet Club, and then hello, Brandy.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
But no, I was at the Strong Style Evolve show in Long Beach like a few months prior to this, the Golden Lovers Young Bucks match, and just remember just booing the shit out of Cody because this was like right when he was like trying to split everybody up. So just like going from that to then a few months later to this, where I'm just like almost in tears cheering for him, is
oh yeah,
just
yeah,
something
yeah.
else.
This entrance still gives me chills.
Yeah,
This is this is when you see the building, like you feel the building shake, and Pharaoh, gotta love
and the
Pharaoh.
pop for Pharaoh.
Yeah. You just got like all the fight camp of just kind of the hard luck heroes
Yeah,
almost. Tommy Dreamer and Glacier and DDP and you know God damn, this was great.
yeah. That's the thing. I think we both just kind of want to watch this part right
Yeah.
now. I'll say I still kick myself for not ordering one of those Nightmare Family jackets. Like that week they had it on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Right. I just couldn't bring myself to spend that money even on something that
Same though.
awesome. But like the this is the ones like there's a few things in wrestling I can go back to that still feel special.
Yeah.
The 20th time, the 200th time I've seen it, or as it was the first time, and this is one of them. Yeah, this is awesome. You know, apologize for the silence.
I will say apparently they wanted Shivani to commentate this match.
He couldn't. He was doing college
Yeah,
football
because
at the time.
yeah, exactly. Because I know he was there like for the weekend, but yeah, I think he was gone Sunday. Because I think it was originally like JR, but JR then contract,
He was gone
and
Saturday.
then
He was gone Saturday because I remember meeting the guy at the Tully Eat
oh
and
yeah, I
Drink,
forgot this was a Saturday show.
who was a big Georgia Bulldogs fan, who said yeah, you got to meet Tony. If you got to meet Tony, you got to do it before Saturday because he's doing the Bulldogs game. And I think even
Yeah,
still for some AEW shows we're out because of that. But I also on the flip side I like how they did Nick Aldis's fight camp too.
same. Yeah, going from like
The
the
hard
fight
luck
camp to like
heroes.
all the heels. Yeah, you got
Ex-
Jeff Jarrett, you got like the quote unquote evil foreigner,
but they were
all in suit.
the only one that kind of made me go wait a minute, what I can't boo this guy was Tim Storm because he's Tim
True,
Storm,
but I
but
think it's more like
you
I think
know
just Tim. I think it's just they wanted to get Tim Storm like
on the
a
show.
part somewhere on this show, just because I think he deserved it.
Yeah, I mean he did such a good job. Tim Storm did in that first that in that kind of setting everything up and really setting a good stage for Nick Aldis to kind of
Yeah,
become the man in the Billy Corgan NWA. But they did a good the one thing, and gonna tangent about the NWA a little bit here, that I think they do a really good job of is they still feel like they're like a legit big time promotion, but yet they acknowledge that most of their wrestlers are, I don't know if weekend warriors is the right word, but like they have other jobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like Tim Storm was a teacher uh, while he was NWA champion, and they talked about like how being a teacher and how being the NWA champion and being a teacher, affected him. Uh, you know, Jazz was a jailer, and how that worked with her career as NWA Women's Champion while balancing that like that's they still have an aura about them, but they managed to keep that aura while still admitting like, yeah, wrestling's not their only career anymore.
Yeah.
Or
Makes it feel like more personal stories.
yeah, exactly, because everybody
It,
knows.
also, that was like a good shot there. Like one of the few like where it feels like you kind of see like the sea of people.
Right, yeah. Because I think like everybody knows that if you're on the independents, unless you're like one of the really in demand people, you're working a real job during the week. Maybe a
Yeah.
part-time job, but you're working a real job, and being able to acknowledge that while still maintaining an aura about them, I feel it's something that the NWA and Billy Corgan have done extremely well.
And then there's some jackass on Twitter. Oh, you hugging anyone to your cootie? Oh, you didn't put over go go. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I've acknowledged that anytime I say something good about Cody, I lose like 2 or 3 subscribers.
Yeah.
Like it happens.
I just remember was it the first the Road Rager show in the strap match. I just remember just texting like everybody, just being like, "Oh, look at all the heat! Look at everybody booing Cody right now!" Like that. Yeah.
I made a comment, and I don't want to like people hear my soapbox about, um, you know, people only hate Cody Rhodes because, and I'm not bashing the IWC. I'm part of the IWC, but they only bash Cody Rhodes because like you get like the street cred for doing it. Um,
Yeah.
but kind of on the flip side of things, it's just kind of one of those like, look, everybody bashing Cody. I remember saying this on Twitter to somebody who like said Cody Rhodes gets too much hate. I said, have you noticed the paying customer doesn't hate
Yeah.
Cody? And I'm not saying that everybody who's on Twitter isn't a paying customer. I'm sure y'all who don't like Cody and watch AEW, you've bought a T-shirt, probably bought several T-shirts and several action figures, and you watching the show gives them ratings, which helps. So I'm not saying you don't pay money. So before you come at me with your pitchforks, take a listen to the words. We're gonna quit talking because we're about to re-experience when the Sears Center began to shake, and we might even, if I recall correctly, I think the camera might start shaking. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was great because I remember when like they first announced Cody going for the NWA title. I felt like there was kind of was just some kickback, just people being like, "Is that really strong enough to headline like this show?"
I remember
And like,
even I had that fear at the time.
yeah.
But
And
again,
I'm curious if that was just a silent like a silent or a vocal minority, or if it was a lot of the work that happened, or a lot of the build up from like the 10 pounds of gold and like all the build up videos.
well, the 10 pounds of gold series was like amazing. The fact that they're not even available on YouTube anymore just makes me sad.
I did
Um,
not know that.
yeah, they're. I went to High Spots and paid $30 to buy them on DVD, and even then they don't have like all like the mini promos in between, which also makes me sad. But yeah, um, but um, whenever they first did that press conference on the on sale day, and I remember saying this in our original podcast, you know, everybody thought they were gonna pull some big ass fucking rabbit out of the hat, myself included. And that was gonna be like the last push, where it's like that's it. They're gonna sell out on day one because they're gonna get CM Punk, and I'm personally like over CM Punk, but I while I'm over CM Punk and all this, oh my god, he has to come back, hype. Like I can see that that's still a big fucking deal. So I'm like, okay, they're gonna get CM Punk, but they're gonna get Batista, because that was also a big rumor. Is
Yeah.
like Batista's gonna be part of it, and he was just coming off of Guardians, so like he's like a bona fide movie star at that point. Guardians and Avengers, and there was all these rumors and speculation going around, and whenever they went, Cody's going for the NWA title, Rey Mysterio's going to be there, and we're going to put Flip Gordon through a table, and he's going to ask to get booked. I remember just kind of thinking, that's it? Like that's all you did? Like I I think that's funny, but I don't know if that's really like enough to sell 10,000 tickets. And then I told the whole story on the original one of uh, pretending I was sick from my real job. Sorry if anybody from my real job listens to this. But pretending I was sick to get front row. Not even like just a ticket. I just want to get front row, and like getting in early and not knowing how to work the Sears Center buy ticket thing and messing up and getting put back in the virtual waiting room and being stuck in there for another 10 minutes or for 5 minutes, and then getting the seats I got, which were like $54 each, and then I'm like, well, I better get them, and then being like salty for like having like a little child. It's like, wasting my time, wasting my sick day for this, got stupid seats, not even on the floor, and like having this whole thing, and then seeing Cody tweet out that sold out, and then going, see, oh, thank God, oh, thank God. that that is my story. As I went from like nervous to like salty to like thank you, thank the universe for allowing this to happen.
I think something that gets forgotten is like it seemed like at one point this was going to be title for title.
Yeah, that was something that was like the build up was from this storyline. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I remember there was like the story was, hence, he's got the dealer written on his tights. The build up to this was all this saying like, I'm the champion. I don't answer to anybody. I'm the dealer. You answer to me. Um, he said, I'll give Cody a title shot if he's the Ring of Honor World Champion. I'm not. I don't play by anybody's rules. And they really made it seem that's kind of what turned Cody babyface was in Ring of Honor, was just him trying to get the title back from uh, Jay Lethal or
But I think it was Don Castle.
Dalton Castle, yes. Uh, and then him not getting it. And then the other thing that really had me intrigued, and I honestly thought they were going to go in this direction, was at a Ring of Honor show. Nick Aldis defended the NWA title against Flip Gordon. Because I remember, like on BTE, Cody was always an asshole to Flip. Always, and he's
Yeah.
not going to book Flip. And he was always, the Young Bucks and the guy with the umbrella, kind of came around on Flip, but, Cody never did. And it's like, well, wouldn't that make the most sense for All In for Cody to have to wrestle Flip for the time? Now, like, now with hindsight being 2020, and I'm not bashing Flip Gordon at all, but it's like, thank God that's not what happened.
Oh God, yeah.
Thank God not having heel being the elite. I hate Flip Gordon Cody in this role. Like, thank God that isn't what happened. But,
Yes,
you
for the
know,
best.
like, I guess you could also say on the flip side things, no pun intended with
Yeah.
that, um, the fact that they had everything and all these pieces put together and did such a good job building all that up, that was a good crowd shot there. Um,
Yeah.
The fact that they had all that built up to where it was a possibility, you could conceivably believe that Flip Gordon was going to be NWA World's Champion to wrestle Cody, speaks to how well booked this all is.
This was, yeah, agree. Yeah, but like going back to the title, I feel like there may have been some wrestling political intervention at some point, almost like, hey, we can't have the belt on Cody right now. He's about to wrestle the IWGP champion again, and we don't want him losing again. And he has some other losses coming up. Like, it seemed like they did not, like, Cody or Ring of Honor, like, kind of backed out on the idea of putting the belt back on Cody for this. But I think the match works better, like, without it. So it became more Cody's story than a title for title situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And, as we'll see more than likely in part 2, because, yes, folks, this is not getting done in one podcast, the fact that it also opened the door for, at the time, the Ring of Honor championship to be defended on the show. You know what? Like it kind of made for 2 big title matches where you really like kind of got this whole Super Bowl of independent wrestling vibe. Okay, I'm gonna criticize one part of this match. I don't like the X being thrown up when it's not real. I don't like that.
Yeah, I can buy that. Yeah.
Like, I get what they're going for. I understand it. It's not the first time this has been done. It's not going to be the last in any promotion. Yeah. Be it AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, any American promotion, I should say. But I don't like that because it's like it takes away from the seriousness of when it actually happens.
Yeah, to the point where I feel like if I see an X now, I'm almost like,
when's the heel going to turn on him?
Yeah.
But I knew when I saw DDP coming down and not trainers, I'm like, all right, we're good. This is good. It's all okay. It's fine. It's fine. He's fine. Everything's fine.
It's fine.
Just like the Bullet Club. Okay, now here is a personal dream come true we're about to see that I got to see, and I missed recording Cody's entrance, but I did remember I was able to get this on tape, and yeah, getting to see a diamond cutter in person, shoulders back, chest out, at ease. And the people that do DDP yoga will get that reference. Getting to see that in person was like a dream come true because I'd never gotten to see DDP actually wrestle in person.
Yeah.
So getting to actually at least get to see a straight up diamond cutter is like, okay, that's good enough. Good enough for me. And apparently the AEW six man tag was his final match.
You said it was or wasn't?
Was.
Okay, was. Okay.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm not a Cody hater, but here we see the staple of all Cody matches now. Blood. Like, I think Cody critics just like, want to criticize because it makes them feel good about themselves in a lot of cases. But I kind of get the criticism of, do you really have to bleed in every match? Like, he didn't have to bleed in Anthony Ogogo's match. Like no blood was required for that one.
Yeah, like I forgot it even happened. So yeah, that's a sign there.
Yeah. The blood in the Jericho match was.
Yeah, that one was.
Well, he had a fucking imprint of the entryway on his forehead for months after that one.
Or I still know one of my favorite tweets I ever saw was, and as a Cody fan, but still, it just said to talk about. It's funny. Cody used to have a gimmick where he would wear a he'd have the gimmick, the dashing gimmick, where he'd wear a mask and stuff. Even but now he's actually disfigured and doesn't wear one.
It was actually the disfigured Cody that like made me a fan of Cody Rhodes.
Same.
It,
Like I remember, I think it was the WrestleMania where they had like that was like building up to Ray and going in. You're like Cody, okay, I guess. But then after that match and that angle, you're just kind of like, oh, I see it now.
it was just that character. Like he reminded me of like a, I love comic books. He reminded me like a comic book villain.
Yeah.
To where like, this one thing went wrong, and like, oh my god, now he's like this psychotic person who wants to destroy the world for what they did to him, and it's like, and he played that off so well. It's like, okay, I can get behind this guy now.
Yeah.
And I really liked his slow down
Like,
heel theme from the Smoke and Mirrors, so much so that at
yeah.
the time on my flip phone, I recorded it off of YouTube and made it my ringtone. So it was terrible quality, but for the longest time, when somebody called me, you heard the very slow down, whoa!
Like you mentioned the superhero thing. Like I think it always gets forgotten about, but it should not be ignored. Just how much of a big fucking nerd Cody is.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The fact that he's going to be part of a podcast where he talks about anything but pro
Yeah.
wrestling, he replays a Link to the Past once a year. Like,
Yeah, or like he's in the suits and the cigars, and then he'll go on interviews and talk about how he owes like a Wookiee life debt to Rey Mysterio for putting him over.
right.
Just yeah,
He wears like Star Wars and Batman socks everywhere with those
yeah.
suits. Um, yeah, it's another reason why I like Cody. And Kenny for that matter.
But like Kenny's makes more sense, and you're like, oh, I see it. But then like Cody, it's like almost like just like a completely different side of him that just pops up like every now and then.
Oh, Kane's here because the screen just went black.
Okay, I was about to say I didn't know if that was just on my
Yeah,
end.
nope, that happened.
Yeah, there's been a
Um,
few of those.
yeah, yeah, those are kind of glad we
Damage
almost
and
did. We,
glare.
we, we almost had like an ECW barely legal sort of situation on several times on this pay per view. I feel, but
Yeah, then I remember going into this pay review. I had a lot of friends of mine that wanted to see it, and they're asking how. So there are like 4 or 5 different options or ways to watch this show. And like I was telling everybody, like whatever you do, just do not use Honor Club. You will try and get on, and the server will crash, and you won't be able to watch it. Use pay-per-view, fight, or any other method. Just don't fucking use Honor Club.
Honor Club
And that's
makes New
still what
Japan.
happened.
Honor Club makes New Japan World look like fucking Netflix. Just Honor Club is literally the worst. I mean, I would say WWE Network, but again, dating ourselves a little bit with how all right, see that right there. Like, I want to point out, like that move. There'd be so many people calling that a botch, but if it was a botch, the way Cody reacted to it, and with the way the match has been going, it's like it's a botch that would make sense to happen because he's hurt.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a botch. I think it was the story. Like, if it was a botch, it was the best way to react to the botch. Very similar to the botch in the G1 finals with Naito and Kenny.
Oh yeah.
Um, but yeah, just like dating ourselves again. But Money in the Bank had like an epic fail on Peacock, but overall, at least it's like easy to find certain things on Peacock. Compare
Yeah.
that to New Japan World, which is just crap. Well, Honor Club is worse.
Uh,
And the worst thing about Honor Club is, like, why would anybody want it? It doesn't even have all the old shows. Like,
yeah, that was what I was about to ask. Does it even have like gay bear stuff?
like if you wanted, like, part of the reason why the WWE Network and I guess now Peacock was so great was because, um, oh hey, you want to watch this random episode of Raw from 1997? It's there. You want to watch this in your house? It's there. You want to watch this? You want to watch Slamboree from 1992? It's there. If there was a Slamboree in 1992, but you get what I'm saying. Um,
Yeah.
if I want a Ring of Honor streaming service, I want to be able to find, hey, I want to watch this random Ring of Honor show from the Murphy Rec Center in 2002. Oh, we got it. Like not the first one,
And
like
yeah, I guess.
like the fifth one.
Yeah. Yeah, classic Ring of Honor does have like a lot of licensed footage, but I feel like just go like the PWG route then, just like have a graphic and just go to the match.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're going to take away from Bryan Danielson's entrance if that's the case, but we we learned to deal with the HDNet shitty music. We can learn to
Oh
deal.
god.
We can learn to deal on a streaming service. There's been more time that he hasn't had that entrance than he has. Oh my god. Okay, he was protected, but it really looked like he was going for like that move Kawada does, where he just straight up just dumps you on your head and you might
Yeah.
die. Okay, I know what spot they're getting to now, and I remember this spot.
Oh yeah. This was really like the biggest heat of the night.
Who was who was the other person that they brought in? I think it was like an OVW. Oh,
Yeah. Uh, Basically, yeah, I think this friend of Cody's and all this, and just after like everyone else backed out, they just kind of like they're like, yeah, let's just do this for our friend. Yeah, he was an OVW. I don't know if he's a commentator there or not, or they just had him do this out of nowhere.
yeah, I'm not sure. I know. I think he was associated with OVW, but I'm not sure. But the finally Enric Caponi with a good, or maybe it wasn't him. I can't really tell because I have my volume down really low, so I can talk to you. but he's like, "What is your wife thinking at home? All this?" And you know, oh, now they're gonna show it again. Okay. I mean, Brandy took all of that
Oh yeah,
and came back out to manage Flip soon, like in a match not long after this. So yeah. Oh, there've been a lot of bad camera angles on this show. I just kind of realized that, and noticed that.
say what?
Been a lot of really bad camera angles for like the move.
Yeah,
Like in this match, the women's match, the ML match.
yeah,
Like,
just they really just don't do the show justice.
no. I mean, I can get like a critic going, ooh, that takes away. Like, they have every right to say that. But it's like, whoever's doing production should know better. Like,
Yeah,
I get it's not AEW production, but it's like, you should know better than to shoot from that angle. Like, seriously.
yeah, this is just one of the reasons where I'm like, the elite couldn't have done what they're doing now they stayed at Ring of Honor and like were relying on Sinclair Broadcasting to do this for them.
Yeah. Um, could they have? I mean, like that's a very interesting question because I think that's part of the reason why they didn't is because they knew that Sinclair Broadcast would not let them do this. You know,
Yeah.
it was never
Like,
gonna. It was never gonna get to this point because, like, I think. Yep, here we go. Damn.
they don't. I know it doesn't happen much, but I love when they like hold off on playing the music for a victory like this.
Yeah. Gives you really time to just take it in.
Yeah.
God damn, what a great moment.
Oh yeah.
Now, whew, um, to just try and kind of keep the conversation going a little bit.
Yeah.
Did,
I was gonna say,
how long did you realistically like? What were you thinking? Like, okay, this is a new. Because keep in mind this was before there was even. That's really cool. They have Brandy put the belt on him. I forgot about that.
yeah,
Um, because we didn't know what AEW was. For all we knew, this was, you know, just going to be like a Ring of Honor show or a yearly All Star show or the last hurrah
yeah,
before they all went to WWE. Or we didn't know what this represented, but so putting yourself back into that time of, you know, being naive and ignorant to, Tony Khan and all that good stuff. Did you expect Cody to run with the belt for a while, or did you kind of think this was just going to be kind of a, for lack of a better way of putting it, like a Dusty run with the title? Dusty,
yeah.
Dusty was always. It was about the build up. It was about the win, and he'd hold it for a little while, and then he'd lose it right back to Rick, or he'd lose it to
Yeah, I
Rick in
felt
some
like
cases.
yeah, I felt like something similar to that, but I felt like him and Aldis were kind of gonna like we're gonna go all over like with this feud. Uh, Almost like forbidden, like I don't say forbidden door, but kind of like yeah, this was like from All In to like the NWA show. Then like before we even knew what was gonna happen, like oh, then they defended at the Tokyo Dome. Like in my head, I was thinking this was gonna lead to like the two of them having uh, a bull rope match for the title at the Madison Square Garden show, like similar
Right.
to Dusty and Superstar.
Yeah. That's something else of just naivete at this time was just like, we gotta go to the Madison Square Garden show. It's gonna be as good as All In. Uh,
That's so crazy. Like I like I'm so glad I went on that trip. It's just weird thinking back that like that was what drove me to go. You know?
yeah, same. I mean, in retrospect, it's kind of like it hits. It, both this trip and that New York trip were like they were like two different movies you love, but you love them for different reasons.
Yeah.
You know, I love Avengers as much as I love Dark Knight, but I like Avengers for significantly different reasons than I love Dark Knight. And one movie gave me this, A, B, and C that I love, and then the other one gave me X, Y, and Z. And that's kind of the story of those trips. It's like, here's All In that gave me all
Yeah, yeah,
this. And while um, you know, no show I went to that weekend, Don Callis jumped his cue a little bit there. While no show I went to that weekend was as magical and as special as All In, you know, there were still some things that I didn't get to do at All In that I got to do that weekend. I got to see Minoru Suzuki, Hiroshi Tanahashi, um, got to see, a really probably still, and this is, I mean, I had to hold back crying just a minute ago, but like still a match that didn't make me cry, but like at least from like the in-ring perspective, I still think was maybe the best match I've seen in person with Gargano and Cole, So like I hit these marks, but didn't get that emotional attachment that I did at
yeah,
All In. It was a number of things, but again, it's just to think that's what we were thinking about Madison Square Garden, and then we saw just how horrible. That's harsh. That's probably the wrong way of saying it. But just how not that we got with the Madison Square Garden show.
yeah. That's a good way to put it.
But for me personally, and I can't speak for you. Like I got that in other areas, like the cool fulfillment, like WrestleCon and the Super Show and
Yeah, yeah.
um, uh, Takeover, and to a certain extent WrestleMania. I mean, if it wasn't 8 fucking hours long, if the transit system didn't leave us stranded almost, and if yeah, but
Also, like I say, I feel like this they picked the right spot for the match for that match on this show.
I can see that, like especially
Yeah.
knowing what we know now. So remember how I told you like I'd always have to pee? Like this was like the big get the fuck up there now. Like hopefully you're not missing Kenny Omega, you know, and hopefully that's not what you miss because like I had to go to the bathroom after that match. I almost felt like I needed a cigarette after that match, and I don't even smoke. So it's very interesting, and this is going to be the last match we cover here on part one. Um, and we decided to end on this note because, again, dating this, but whatever. There's a bit of irony in how I feel about this match and how I felt. Not so much about Hangman, but just about this match 3 years ago to what I'm kind of feeling as we're heading into um, a Chicago wrestling event in 2021. You know, I this was like the match where I'm like, I do not give a shit about this match. And it's not because of Hangman, and I didn't really know much about Joey Janela, but it wasn't really because of any of this. It was just didn't really. The storyline was I'm no Jim Cornette. The storyline was too hokey for me. Or I should say too hokey, just kind of like coming off of a Cody Rhodes match. Like this was like hard to really have me give a shit. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, like
It's
I had people that were just kind of ordering the show just kind of based on just the hype that it was getting. So like I think my brother was just texting me like pretty much just talking about how great title match was, and then just like the next time like what the fuck's going on? Like as this promo was playing.
like this is a program that really you know
Yeah.
th- th-
Also,
this
I just want to
Go on.
I was, I was going to say while this was playing, I think that was supposed to be Joey Mercury in that spot because he was supposed to be an agent that weekend, but he had that whole issue where he got arrested.
Yes, I heard
Because,
about that.
he was doing the whole Joey Killer thing. Or
Yeah.
Hangman was doing the whole Joey Killer thing and everything. So I think that was going to be like his spot on the show.
Yeah. Um, but it's just like look, this storyline was something that really only works within a bubble. Like it, I've learned since AEW became a thing, there are things that happen on BTE that can work and be all right on a you know a nation worldwide TV program, but uh, there are certain things that only work in the BTE bubble, and
Yeah.
this is one of them. But the funny thing is, and where we all this just to get to this next point is now we're fixing to go to All Out in Chicago, and they might change, but for all intents and purposes, it seems as of this recording in AEW, they're getting ready to build towards that being where we get Hangman versus Kenny for the AEW title, and now it's like something I'm as emotionally invested in as the match that we just saw with Cody and Aldis, where it's like, don't have any idea how badly I want Hangman Page to win that belt, and how badly I want to be there to see it. And it's just like, how far can you come in 3 years? Where 3 years earlier, like, you know, I wanted to hurry up and get back into the get back to the my seat in time after going to the bathroom just to make sure that like I saw the women's match, and this it's like, oh, go to the bathroom, go get some more pretzels, get another drink, get another beer, get another bottle of water. Just who cares? Like, I mean,
I say it's weird hearing this music on a Ring of Honor show
yeah, it
or a Ring of
is.
Honor production. Although I feel like this should have been the sign that like you should have known something was up. Because feel like this was the point where like a lot of the elite guys were just getting new music all of a sudden,
Yeah, because
and
I
you're
remember
like, oh,
because
why
I
would they be getting new music?
well, yeah, because I remember like I remember my first time seeing Hangman Page was at a Ring of Honor show in Collinsville, where he I want to say he was wrestling Chris Sabin, and he just came out to the Bullet Club music. Like
Yeah.
he just came out to the 2016. He just came out to the Bullet Club music. So also
So like, I mean,
sidebar,
this.
Stevie Richards was on that Ring of Honor show.
Oh yeah.
And Hot Man Stevie Richards was in Ring of Honor. But
Yeah.
it's just it's interesting, you know, to show like one, like just what I don't know if this is. I'm trying to figure out how to say this. One, how talented Hangman is that he really developed himself over these last few years to become
Yeah.
pretty well the ace of a company, and two, just like how good it was that AEW was able to see that, not just go, okay, this is the Jericho, Kenny, and Cody show. Like these are the guys,
Well, I
and
do feel like this angle. I feel like this particular angle was where, at least to some of the fans, like it kind of opened up Hangman to them, or at least in the sense that he's not just the job guy on the Bullet Club.
right? Yeah, I get that to a certain extent. Like, I mean,
I feel like this is where we really saw his range, which became such a huge like aspect of his character as it got into AEW.
it's kind of I'm going to draw like a parallel to this. It's kind of almost like Daniel Bryan, where okay, if you look at Daniel Bryan WWE, he was here he was just a guy, and he was a good wrestler, and he was a entertaining dude to an extent, but he was just kind of a guy. And then you know he changes his character a little bit. He gets paired with Kane, and he's doing the anger management and the yes and the no, and then he becomes like, oh hey, this guy's funny and a good wrestler. That's cool. And then after that, we saw like a fucking movement begin with Daniel
Yeah.
Bryan to where like the strength of his character and his fans were just straight up not gonna fucking be denied. And I feel like that's kind of what we're seeing. We're seeing a very very similar arc with Hangman Page, where it's hey, he's just a wrestler in Ring of Honor. Oh, he's in the Bullet Club now. That's cool. Um, there's some dick jokes about him. That's neat. Um, and then he does this, and we see like, oh hey, Hangman can be funny. There's some acting range. There's more to Hangman than just you know a few penis jokes and taking the fall in a New Japan show. To okay, he's funny, and then now, and you actually, truth be told, kind of went through two different stages of the funny, because you went through like this, and then later on the whole like, oh, he's drinking, isn't
Well,
that funny?
yeah.
Before eventually like becoming, with after the FTR feud and everything, like really, just really showing that he has what it takes to be the top babyface in AEW and really lead the company. And I mean this with no disrespect. I don't like Joey Janela. Like I don't hate him. I don't like him. I don't know.
It's just I don't see it.
I never I never got Joey Janela. I never got it. Like he's a nice guy.
I feel like I have to watch more GCW. So you know what I mean? Like I guess because that's where he gets praised the most.
That's fair, but it's just
Yeah, but
like
whatever he's got, it just doesn't translate
I don't
on
connect
the
with
main
it.
stage.
And
Yeah,
I just like I don't connect with it, and there's a lot of things I don't connect with. I don't connect with Joey Janela.
yeah,
I don't connect with Jay White. I don't 100%. I don't connect with Okada as much as people feel I should. Um, but I just don't like. It doesn't matter. Okay, this part's cool.
yeah.
Like
Here's the thing, this may be an unpopular. I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion or not, but I would like to see AEW do more stuff like this, like the sponsors, because I know like fairly McMahon logic is he feels like that's low class. Like I guess to really have sponsors like on the aprons and stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess to me, from watching WCW, that was always kind of like the sign of like a legitimate company, you know?
right. Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, because I mean like watch college football and watch the bowl games in the postseason. On the 50-yard line, yeah, they're in the Fiesta Bowl, but you don't see Fiesta Bowl as much as you see Tostitos.
Yeah,
Or you don't see Sugar Bowl as much as you see, it was Nokia. It's not Nokia anymore, but you get what I'm saying. Like Nokia on the trophy that the winning team gets, it's a giant says Tostitos, really big on it.
yeah,
Every player in that game is wearing a patch on their jersey that says Tostitos. So I get what you're saying. Like that's just advertisement. It's everywhere. Like
yeah.
that is the world we live in the United States of America, for right, wrong, or indifferent. So
I mean, hey, if some of these advertisements or some of these in-show advertisements could like give us less commercials, I'd be all for that.
yeah, I watch racing. Like that is the most commercialized sport in the world, is racing. You know, I
Yeah, like
I grew up I grew up with Tide, using Tide on everything. Still to this day, using Tide because my favorite race car driver in NASCAR drove the Tide car. You know, so I get what you're saying, but on the flip side, I think if as much as I would love to see like an actual Cracker Barrel, I could see where I'm not even saying like necessarily a Cornette like critic, but like kind of a tough love critic that likes AEW could even go, excuse me, would say about that. Um, yeah, you're big time now. You might want to not go that far. So I see the case for it because I mean you see it in literally every other walk of sports.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not an NBA fan, but like when I'm just seeing clips of the NBA before Dynamite, like I'm seeing jerseys with Wish on it now. Is that I mean, if somebody watches the NBA that's listening to this, let me know if that's a thing now. But I'm seeing that I'm like, so obviously NBA's doing it. So I get the case for, but I can also get the case against where they're like, you know, a casual fan seeing that would think that's low class. Does that make sense?
That's fair. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I know what I mean every week, but
Oh no
yeah,
no no
just
no! But like I like even like in a situation like this, I could see somebody going, "It's your biggest show." Won't put over this individual, but I'll put over like somebody who's kind of a little bit more hard on things, like Lance Storm. I could see like a Lance Storm going,
yeah.
"Your biggest show of the year, and you're putting fucking Cracker Barrel on shit. Why?" You know, you
Meanwhile,
know.
I'm over here thinking like there should be like some kind of mid card or like TNT like tournament where the winner gets like a TNT title shot. And I'm like, fuck it, just call it the Cracker Barrel Cup, and the winner gets like a trophy shaped like a Cracker Barrel.
And you know, like a Cracker Barrel,
But
like doing something like that would be cool.
yeah,
But like do it on at this point, like do it on Dark or do it
I can
on
see that. Yeah, Rampage or something.
Rampage.
Yeah. Because like I feel like at least for this particular weekend, like seeing all these official sponsors from like what started as in jokes on the show or just casual mentions on the show was kind of a cool thing to see pan out. At least in my opinion.
I agree completely. You know, especially because it went a long way in making this show happen. And
Yeah.
um, here's and maybe this would be considered a hot take. There's a lot of what we saw at All In. There's a lot of what we saw at All In that could still have a spot in AEW right now, and I want to see have a spot in AEW right now. There's also a lot of things that, as cool as it was, and as much as it helped this show, worked in a bubble.
Yeah.
And now that they're a little bit bigger than that bubble, um, we probably shouldn't be seeing that. Um,
I think we'll be seeing one of those in just a few minutes.
yes. I think we'll be seeing a lot of that. And yeah. I think even what we would later come to find out aside, I think even um, without all that, even that individual probably wouldn't work on AEW. Other than like maybe just
Agreed. Yeah.
you
I
know,
think even he knew that too.
well, I mean, like, because I remember like even thinking eventually, like when they first announced all the talent, like, hey, where's this guy? You know, why wouldn't you want to bring him? He's got like, he's viral, but it's like, okay, you need a little bit more than just viral now. Um, but just I don't know. Like on one hand, I like certain things that keep the spirit of this whole movement alive because you don't want to deter too far from that because then you do quote unquote sell out. But
Yeah.
like I don't know, I guess I just realized now going back and reliving this like there's certain things that probably are best left in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
I feel like
major the majority
Penelope
of
here
this match
really
is
like.
one of it.
No, agree. But I feel like Penelope here really stood out, but he hasn't really shown that since AEW started.
Yeah. Um that's just kind of Penelope, Kip, Miro at first was kind of like if one of these other wrestling YouTube channels want to make like a list of AEW's misses, those are three of them right there.
Yeah.
Um, this match is longer than I thought because I thought we would have gotten to the in jokes now because I remember having to explain some of these in jokes from BTE to Nick who was watching the show. He's like, "Why is there a phone? Why are the boots talking?" You know.
I will say as ridiculous as some of these like callbacks are, like just on paper, it is like very well booked if that makes sense. And I feel like was kind of like her predecessors to kind of like the detail and booking that AEW would have.
Yeah, that's
As
fair.
as weird as that sounds.
The concept of it is well done as far as like how well they do things. It's just
Yeah.
this is the match where the
Like
long term storytelling took place in. Like this match to me, which is something that I even criticized. I'm like, why is it Joey Janela? Why isn't it? Why couldn't the individual in question have risen from the dead and had this match on this show? Like, that's the match we wanted to
looking
see.
yeah. Looking back, I think it had to do with Lucha Underground.
That could very well be true. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Like
now at least we can
that
watch
this
the
person
match
could
without,
not appear in a wrestling capacity.
and we can watch the match and kind of like not be offending anybody by talking about it in more detail by it being Joey Janela. But that being said, like that was kind of like my question. It's like and Hangman's gonna wrestle Joey Janela. I'm like, what why though? But why? Like, why Joey? There's another individual named Joey that, like, literally everything has been built around. And I'm gonna say right now, this match is drug on way too fucking long.
Yeah.
And none of this is Hangman Page's fault. But like
I
this
can agree
match,
with that.
this match, we're gonna have another match that went on too long, but like was better. That we can't talk about much anymore. But this is oh God Almighty. Killing the goddamn business, motherfucker!
Also, I feel like in spots like that, they never hit the second table. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So I'm not really blaming them for that one, but I just feel like almost like in spots like that, I just wouldn't do like two tables together like that. Because I always think of like the TNA spot where like Abyss had like four tables like all stacked together, threw Jeff Hardy in them, and somehow he missed and hit like only one of them. And
Right.
then Jeff just like no sold it immediately and was like throwing a tantrum. Just
I am. again, I'm kind of like it's funny. Like I'm having these feelings of I am 100% over this match right now. Where like
Yeah.
here in a couple months, I'm hopefully gonna be like on the edge of my seat, like cheering and hoping and praying that Hangman Page wins the title. Oh, we're gonna see a buckshot.
I guess here's something I'll say. I feel like when
Oh, here we
you
go.
learn about the stuff about this particular person, I feel like at the end of the day, compared to like some of the other like hard hits you had with wrestlers you like, I feel like with this person, you kind of realize it was no big loss when you realize, for example, in this feud, Hangman did like all the heavy lifting when you think of it,
Yeah,
and like in other examples of other feuds with this guy, mainly it almost everything he did involved the other guy willing to take sort of the hit for him
right.
or be
Yeah,
willing to bump for a certain spot.
yeah. You're
Hell,
right.
I was surprised to learn it wasn't even his the original spot wasn't even his idea. It was like the opponent that like just suggested it as a funny gag. So it's
Yeah,
like when you look at it, this particular person had really nothing. So you're really not missing anything.
yeah. This is something that I had to explain. It's like, why is he freaked out by cowboy boots? And I'm like, well, you don't understand. He killed somebody. And
Almost weird.
I was shocked to see that part. Like that part, I
Yeah,
will say that much. Like I was shocked. Like just knowing who put the show together, and that they would have a spot like that. Even as much as like everybody kind of involved advocates for intergender wrestling, it's still kind of a you're treading on some shaky ground with a spot like that.
yeah.
Um,
I guess Hangman's technically crazy right now, so I guess that's kind of their like
Logic
fallback.
behind it,
Yeah,
but it's like I'm so glad. Like, I mean, again, kind of like going back to where what we mentioned earlier. Like, I'm glad that Hangman got to show this personality,
yeah,
and that helped him develop into the well-rounded top guy that he is today. But um, I never, ever, ever want to see him. And I'm not trying to be a cornet here. I never, ever, ever want to see like Hangman being wasted in stupid shit like this ever again. Ever. Ever. Like he
so he kind
has
of threw
some
me off the same wasted. I was like, wait, what?
like I mean it's just like now knowing how great he is, it's like you feel like this is a waste.
Yeah,
It's in hindsight it was a waste of Hangman. Like I don't want to see Hangman being wasted in like comedy, talking murder boots ever again. Like some fun stuff on BTE, sure, but like on the national scale, like no. Like
yeah.
now that we know like just how fucking good he is, it's like
Well, I feel like there's still little ways. Like for example, like kind of like a lot like him had like riding a lawnmower with Dark Order, kind of putting that on TV. But yeah, I feel like match wise, like you don't want to see like
I mean like may not
shit like this.
like a whole lot of like doing a fun vignette with the Dark Order, maybe if when he wins the title, like of him riding
Yeah,
lawnmowers or drinking beer with them, like that's cool. But like you know, uh, yeah, I believe we're coming to the end of this.
yeah. Oh, I forgot about this.
And that's the match, and that is this episode. We're gonna skip over the ending of this match because
Oh,
why? But I want to thank you all for tuning in and reliving part one of the most magical night in wrestling I personally have ever been a part of. we will return with part 2 of this show. It's fun taking a look back. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share, subscribe for more content, not just from the world of pro wrestling, but from the world of comic books, gaming, anime, and all things geek culture. Follow me on my social media pages, facebook.com/athleticgeek89, Instagram.com/athleticgeek89, Twitter, athletic_geek89, and if you would like to help this channel out financially, I am on Patreon, patreon.com/athleticgeek89. Other than that, Charloco, do you have any way to?
I think we know the answer to that one.
I know there's one in the works, but it's like uh, like almost like still postponed, should we say? But
It's getting the Duke Nukem Forever treatment. You'll find it in like 20 years from now.
It's like the old Dunder Mifflin website.
Exactly.
The only thing I will say about this upcoming segment is apparently I talked to a guy at StarCast the day after who was one of the penises. But yes, on that note, other than that, we'll see y'all next time.
See you then.